Hi there, my name is Cathi Barker from Software Solutions, and this is one of a collection of videos about Microsoft Outlook. What we're looking at in this video is some of the tips and tricks regarding emailing from Outlook. First thing I want to do is on my navigation options on the left hand side of my screen is ensure that I've got the first button chosen, which is Mail. By clicking Mail, I'm now sitting in my inbox. What I want to do is look at creating an email for starters. So I'm going to go to the Home tab in my ribbon and choose New Email. Notice when I rest on it though, it does mention the shortcut key Control N. And so if you're sitting in your inbox and you press the key combination Control N, you will in fact create a new email. Now the first thing I think you should check is whether you've got your BCC field showing. A lot of you won't, and I think you should. So when I go to options, for example, up here, you can turn off and you can turn on the BCC field. When you turn it on, it stays on forever until you turn it off again. So I have mine permanently turned on. So what are the differences between 2CC and BCC? If I send an email to somebody, let's say I send it to Darren, then I will be waiting for a reply from Darren. So this is direct communication with Darren. But let's say I want to send a carbon copy to Megan. So I just want to keep Megan in the loop. So I'm not expecting a response from Megan. I'm just putting her in there as a carbon copy. But what I don't want Darren and Megan to know is I've also sent a copy to, say, Mike. And so the 2 and the CC do not see the BCC. BCC is short for blind carbon copy. And also if there's more than one person on the BCC row, let's put somebody else in, then they don't see each other. They're blind to each other. You don't have to put everybody in the 2. I can drag Darren, I can take him out of the 2 and put him in the BCC, and drag Megan out and put her in the BCC. I actually, as a matter of practice, use the BCC a lot. And that is because I am emailing people from all sorts of different organizations on a regular basis. And I think it's extremely unprofessional if you've got an email with about 50 email addresses at the top of that email, especially when you go to print it. So if you don't want a whole pile of emails at the top of an email, then simply put them in the BCC. Also, I'm often wanting to shield people's personal information, so I don't put them all in the 2 in the CC, I put them in the BCC. So that's something to think about as well. That's what those are. So I'll just take those out, and you can just drag them up and down and decide where you want to put them. I think the worst situation I saw recently was actually a job vacancy. There was a job vacancy and those people that were unsuccessful received an email saying they were unsuccessful. But instead of putting all the people that were unsuccessful in the BCC, they stuck them in the 2. So when the email got sent, everybody was able to see who was in the 2 and who was unsuccessful at getting that job. So not very professional. Think about turning your BCC field on. It might stop you in your tracks and make you think about whether you should be putting somebody in the BCC. All right. Now, when you're actually writing an email, suddenly you think, oh, maybe I should be sending this to Cathi. There's a thing called an @ mention. I'm going to go @, and when I do, I'm able to then choose who I want to mention. So maybe I mention this person. Now, by me putting that immediately puts them in the 2. And then I can ask that person, could you prepare the report for us? But then I might have a job for somebody else. So I'll go @ and I'll start typing their name. And if I then go tab, then I can put, can you do this for us? And immediately they've appeared up in the 2. So there is such a thing as an @ mention, and that automatically allows you to assign actions to a specific person in the body of an email, but also ensures that that person is put up in the 2 so that they receive the email. So that's a new thing, and that's quite handy. If I take these away, just delete, then they automatically disappear from the 2. So that's a really cool feature. Now, always also put a subject. Always put a subject in your email. Increasingly, people are being a little bit lazy and not putting a subject. and make the subject meaningful. So the subject actually clearly indicates what the email is about. So it's action orientated. Now, the other thing is attaching files. Often we want to attach PDF files, Word documents, Excel files, and so you can do so using the attach file button. The attach file button does have a memory of so many documents that you've recently been working with, and you can rest on them also to generally find out the location of the document. But if what you want to attach is not in the list, then you can just browse this PC and actually find that particular file that you want to attach. So attach one or more files to your email and send that with your email. Now, besides attaching files, you can also insert links, and that's this button to the right of attach file. When you go to link, you can create a hyperlink or a link to that document. And if this email is being sent to people inside your organization, then you should be sending them a link and not a copy of the file, because they have access to the location of that file. So you just send them a link to it, and then everybody's working with the one document. If you attach the file, you're starting to create duplicate copies of that file that start floating around the organization, and nobody really knows which is the most recent or the most relevant copy of that file. So for the rules of duplicity, we don't actually attach files if it's going to somebody who has access to the location where that file is. Send them a link, let me just choose this for example, send them a link to that file and they will be able to view that document. You can change it that you want them to be able to do more than view. You want them to be able to edit the document, for example, or review the document. So you can do that. You can set a password if you want to, things like that. All right, so I'll just delete that. So attach a file if it's an outsider who doesn't have access to that location, or attach a link if it's somebody within your organization, a hyperlink. But the other thing you can attach are items inside of Outlook. So sometimes people will say to me, can you send me that email that such and such sent you? So I want to attach that email. I'll go to insert and I'll attach an Outlook item. And by doing so, I can attach maybe this email and go okay. And so I'm actually sending them this email that I received. They'll be able to double click it and they'll be able to read it without me actually forwarding it or tainting it in any way. I'm attaching that email, the original email, to this email and sending it to somebody. And I can easily remove that attachment as well. So think about whether you want to attach a file, attach an Outlook item, or insert a link when you're working with files. Now, the other thing is signatures. When you create a new email, you should have a signature that explains who you are, what your phone number is particularly, because often we don't want to email you back. We want to ring you back because it's too big or too complicated to say in an email. An email is not the only form of communication. So, and an email usually means you don't want an urgent reply. A phone call means you want an urgent reply. So create a detailed and useful signature, and you can have more than one. I have this full signature so that people know who they're dealing with, but once they know who they're dealing with, I right click and just switch it to a disclaimer. That's all I need to say at the bottom of my email. Or I'll right click it and just have a really informal response. Oops, right click. Do I have an informal one on this one? Brief. So a real brief response. Or right click and an away response. That's when I was closed for a little while. And then a disclaimer. And then right click and go back to a full one. My point is you can have more than one signature. And how you create a second or third signature or manage your existing signature is to go to the signatures button and choose signatures. In here, for example, you're then able to edit your signature and save those changes. You're able to create a new signature, give it a name. Let's just say short and sweet. And okay. And my short and sweet signature just says Kind regards, Cathi, 021, and I can then just save that, yes. Then I can just go OK, and if I right click, I can choose short and sweet, there it is there, and switch to my short and sweet signature, or go back to my full signature. If I don't want my short and sweet signature anymore, I'll go to signature, signatures, I'll choose short and sweet, and I'll delete it, and yes. So you can create a new signature, delete a signature, even rename a signature. And you can choose which signature you want to use for new messages as opposed to replies and forwards. So manage your signatures in that way. So I'm just going to go OK. Okay. When I'm sending this email, I also have something called follow up. That's this button here. I may want to assign follow up, so I remember to follow this email up with a phone call. So I'll hit the drop down on follow up and I'll choose custom. And I might check out the word follow up and make a note that I need to ring Mary on Monday at 9 AM to follow up on email. So start date, I need a reminder. I need a reminder on Monday to come up on my machine, perhaps, let's say 9 o'clock, and remind me to do that. So it's due on Monday, even though I'm starting it today. I can also flag it for the recipient of this email, and I'll say, Mary, Cathi will ring you on Monday, 9 AM. And I'll make that pop up on her machine, reminder, on Monday, maybe at 8. So follow up is a flag that reminds me and reminds the recipient to follow up on this email. So I'll go OK. And there's a mention up here that there's a follow up. So let's just say I'll just send it to a personal account. Testing 1, 2, 3. And when I hit send, what will happen is she'll get that reminder. But if I want to see the reminder myself, I will go to view and I'll ask for to do and I'll ask for tasks. And there it is there, testing 1, 2, 3. I can get rid of my favorites, for example, and just get my tasks up. Anything with that little bell, that's a reminder, that's a flag, and that will pop up and remind me on Monday to follow up with Mary. So yeah, you can do follow up as well. Come back for the next video and I'll show you some more things that you can do with email.